Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm not.
All right, it's my boo, my bestie. I said the same thing when MJ came on, but you guys are equal in my mind. Courtney Fallon, thank you so much for joining the podcast. You can catch Courtney on WEEI Boston Radio, which was at one point my nemesis when I was in Miami, but Courtney and I were in Miami together during the days of the Heatles, which were the glory days. And now Courtney is on WEEI. So thank you for coming on with us, Courtney.
You're welcome. It's funny because the Heat are playing the Celtics in Boston tomorrow, and I'm getting messages from the Heat media to come, and I'm kind of nervous about showing my Miami Heat colors.
Are you going to go?
Yeah, for sure I'm going. There's no way I'm not going.
I mean, what the hell? I don't get invites when the Heat come out here and play in LA. I mean, I guess there's probably more people trying to go to those games, but I saw Ennis participating in a snowball fight the other day.
Yeah, it is. There's about 8 inches of snow on the ground, and it's growing out here in Boston.
That's disgusting.
I have to say that I love it. No, I mean, listen, it's beautiful when it falls, and then when it starts getting slushy and dirty, and you're wondering, why your 5-year-old nephew is trying to lick the piece of snow that has a little bit of yellow on it, and you're like telling him no, and that's when you start getting problems.
Yeah,
when it gets
I'm glad you said nephew. I'm glad you said nephew because a niece would never.
Oh, my niece doesn't go anywhere near the snow. She stays inside and says, Uncle, can you paint my nails?
Yeah.
Let's keep it at that.
Well, okay, so there's lots to talk about with the Patriots, but huge NFL news just happened. The Carolina Panthers just fired Ron Rivera. Now, I don't believe in firing coaches mid-season, especially a coach as esteemed and respected as Ron Rivera. You don't have Cam Newton, and Kyle Allen is not the answer. So I don't think that this is a smart move. But that said, my immediate opinion on this is, Browns hire Ron Rivera immediately, right now.
Or there's a lot of interest, at least from what I'm gathering, is that he could go and be the new head coach for the New York Giants. Ooh. I'm not really so sure Pat Shurmur has his job locked in. I know that the young kid up there, the quarterback, Daniel Jones, is, it's depending on his maturation as a quarterback there. He wants his guy to be there. But, I mean, whether or not your quote-unquote franchise quarterback is going to have the power to keep Pat Shurmur in place, I mean, I think that Dave Gettleman would be stupid not to bring Ron Rivera in. I think the first thing that I gathered just from some of my former colleagues at the NFL Network is that this is a shock to everyone in the Panthers organization. Tiffany Blackman, who covers the Panthers pretty regularly, had said that she had gotten off the phone with a number of people in that organization. They are surprised not letting Ron Rivera, a guy who is so beloved, so charismatic, plays well to the locker room, plays well to his players. It's disappointing beyond words, at least for the people that are down there with the Panthers, to not let him finish out the season. The fact that Cam Newton, who is not the starting quarterback of the Carolina Panthers, kept his job over his head coach, that Ron Rivera was fired before Jason Garrett after that debacle on Thanksgiving for the Cowboys. It doesn't really make a lot of sense, but I think that, Joy, the way that we can sum this up from what I'm reading here is that David Tepper is kind of on a power trip. He's a new Panthers owner, and he's saying that in that statement as well, that there's going to be big changes coming to the front office with really no mention of the new GM, Marty Hurney. So whether or not it's going to be him taking over and giving this franchise down in Carolina a complete makeover, I'm assuming so. That's just what it seems like from the bird's eye view.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it is too. I just think that, I have a great respect for Ron Rivera, and I don't see how, the Giants are he's going to do great wherever he goes, and he's going to have many options available for him. Anyone who has a head coaching position available is going to be after Ron Rivera. That's it. I don't think he's a great fit in Dallas, although he would be great in Dallas. I think that Ron Rivera has too strong of an identity already to work with Jerry Jones. So to me, Jerry, I think, needs somebody like a Lincoln Riley or someone else coming up from the college ranks who doesn't have an NFL stamp already. So even though I do think that Ron Rivera would do great in Dallas. Okay, so let's go to Boston, where the sky is falling, literally. It's snowing everywhere. And also, everyone's freaking out about the Patriots. Now, I had a rant prepared, Courtney, about the Patriots. As you know, I'm a Dolphins fan and a Steelers fan, and Tom Brady and Bill Belichick have been a thorn in my side for the last 20 years. I'd like them removed. But
as long as you are willing to admit that, I will take anyone's criticism of Tom Brady and the darts that they throw at me daily in that sense. You know, there's universal hatred for both of them. But as long as you admit it and say, listen, your team has beat our butts for the last 15 years, then all right, I take it. So, I mean, even if you want to take pieces of your rants and throw it at me, like, I'm here to listen.
Well, I think you respect it, because I obviously hated, with a deep level of hatred, Bill Belichick and Tom Brady for a very long time. And then after the Falcons Super Bowl, I decided, you know what? You know, it's like when you have chronic pain. You grow to respect it, right? Like, it becomes a part of your life. And you just, you tolerate it. Like, you'd like it to go away, but also you just kind of accept, like, you know, this is the path God's laid out for me. And unfortunately, this is the result of the choices that I've made. So, yes, I have great respect for Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. I wish other teams like the Steelers and the Dolphins would cheat as good as the Patriots do. No, I'm kidding. They're great. But the point is, because I've seen this movie 10,000 times. It's like Mission Impossible 38. Like, what could possibly happen? Oh my God, Tom Cruise saved the world. No one saw it coming. Oh my God. Now, that's not saying that the movie's not great, but we know how this ends, right? Like, doesn't matter how much anxiety they give you throughout the film. At the end of the day, Tom Cruise is going to save the day, much like Tom Brady. So this whole idea that the Patriots are done is silly, silly nonsense to me. It's stupid. The Ravens are slight favorites over the Patriots. The Patriots are 10-2. They lost to the Texans and the unstoppable Ravens. And all anyone can talk about is how awful the Patriots offense is. Where? Who cares? What are you talking about?
You know what, though? Here's the thing that worries me, and I agree with you as well. When you just start seeing stats like Mitch Trubisky has a higher passer rating than Tom Brady this season.
Oh, boo.
The amount of throws, I mean, but from what I saw on that field, all flugate aside, I'm happy that Bill Belichick and Tom Brady didn't blame that loss to the Texans on a rampant flu that took out about 18 of their players.
No, it's because they're champions. They don't make excuses.
Listen, I like that. The problem here, Joy, that I have is a personnel issue. That you let 3 all-pro wide receivers go before the trade deadline. You don't make any trade moves. There's been rumors throughout the organization that N'Keal Harry has not really been up to speed during his time on the short-term IR. He comes back, and, I mean, the guy's getting 1 target a game and thinking like he's a perennial all-pro, you know, buying the number 15 chain and this. It's like, listen, sit down. Tom Brady has known for a long time that he's not one to help out the young wide receivers, work with them in the offseason. I mean, that has been his biggest criticism, that he does not do well at developing young talent. But, I mean, with guys on the field like Julian Edelman, Mohamed Sanu, Ben Watson, James White, and Rex Burkhead, and not to mention Philip Dorsett, Miami's own, who has been in the offense for the last 3 years. Brandon Bolden, that went from a guy who was just a power runner to catching screens up the field. Like, why is this not working? And I think
it is working.
It's not, Joy, they can't move the ball down the field.
They're 10-2.
The Patriots offense is so stagnant. The receivers are not on the same page with Tom Brady, and it worries me, and it worries a lot of people in this region up here in New England when you're watching these guys, because you got to remember, Tom Brady has like a PhD in the offense, and if these guys are not sitting there and studying up and understand that they have to, you know, read man and zone and then run their same route, and if you're not on the spot, your quarterback's going to chew you out.
And listen, I appreciate that, because I, in a similar fashion to Tom Brady, I'm also a champion. And I don't have a lot of
You
patience for
are.
people who don't like to work hard. So I get it. And I'm not saying that his wide receivers don't like to work hard, but like, I'm not a patient person, and Tom Brady clearly isn't a patient person either.
Yeah.
It just happens. And I understand that.
Yeah.
And also, he's at the point in his career where it's like Kobe. Like, Kobe's not taking the time out of his day to like nurture a young up and coming star. Like, he's got stuff to do, right? And I get that with Tom Brady. But my thing is, all this talk about like the offense is stagnant and like they don't have the pieces. Like, can we just take a trip down memory lane? It was many moons ago, February 3rd, 2019. All right, when Tom Brady threw for 262 yards and 1 interception and no touchdowns, and the final score was 13-9, right? Or was it 13-7?
Yeah.
I don't know. All I know is the Patriots only had 13 points, and they won the freaking Super Bowl. Gronk was a quote-unquote shell of himself all season long and had been diminished to a blocking tight end. And Julian Edelman, who, by the way, is still on the team, was Super Bowl MVP. So what am I missing?
It's
13-3? Oh my God, I gave the Rams 7 more points?
Yeah.
That's how awful that Super Bowl was. It was a complete war fest, by the way.
The continued drops and the low passing percentage, I mean, it just everything in this offense right now just seems to be hard. And although that you are saying everything that I just said as well, I mean, I think we agree with the fact that this is still the similar personnel that was on the field during the Super Bowl, minus Gronk. But the fact of the matter is that losing tight end Rob Gronkowski on this offense not only hurts the running game, it hurts the screen game. They can't run the ball down the field because he was always the extra blocker. They can't get anything off the edge because Gronk was there, used majority of the time as a decoy during his halfy season with the Patriots when he couldn't stay healthy on the field. And Tom Brady, for the most part, in his gajillion years, 18, 20 years as a quarterback for the New England Patriots, has gone out and has won the game for the Patriots, putting up 30, 40 points. He used to do it 12, 14 times in a season. And now you have a situation where the defense is having to go out and make turnovers and make defensive touchdowns off those turnovers and change the game. And Bill Belichick, using his coaching mentality, is having to tilt the field in his direction so that he can strategically win games for the Patriots. This is out of Tom's hands right now. And I think that the Patriots are in just a situation right now where whether or not Josh McDaniels and Tom Brady are on the same page, I'm not so entirely sure. Because if Josh McDaniels was Tom Brady's guy, then he would start coming up with a little more of a wrinkle in the offense versus the gimmicky stuff that they have seen with Julian Edelman throwing touchdowns. That's why he was so mad against the Eagles. I really want to see, and a lot of people here in the media up in New England want to see these two create something else with this offense because, as you said, Joy, the pieces are all there, but why is it not working? And why aren't these receivers? They have no red zone offense and they can't move the ball. So listen, the Patriots, they dug their own grave with this one. They're not going to, Rob Gronkowski's not walking through that door. Wes Welker's not walking through that door.
Okay, so then that's the next question then. Like, first of all, the grave talk, like, I'm not throwing dirt on the living, okay? Especially not Tom Brady. But that said, Gronkowski's not walking through the door. Wes Welker's not walking through the door. So who is Antonio Brown walking through the door?
There's no way. That's a good question and a nice transition to the next ad nauseum talk that we've been talking about since he spent 11 days in the organization earlier this year. I don't really know. I know that Tom Brady has gone to bat for Antonio Brown a number of different times, pleading with Robert Kraft. And Antonio Brown just continues to bury himself in social media and photos. And even during this game when they were losing to the Texans on Sunday, tweeting out that all he wants for Christmas is to come back to the Patriots. And then he's retweeting some stuff, and then he just continues to bury himself on social media.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. The following of Tom Brady or Antonio Brown antics on social media, I chose to abandon quite some time ago. Because I have a limited amount of space in my day, and there's just no space for that. So I'll take your word for it on it because I just have no interest in reporting on the day-to-day antics of Antonio Brown on social media, but I do think that the NFL is going to have to make a ruling. I mean, the NFL's going to have to make a ruling eventually about what happened, and we know how they do with these punishments. It's ridiculous, which is a whole nother conversation. But so you're saying if the NFL clears him, which is obviously the only way that this conversation is even valid, if the NFL clears him, there's no chance he comes back to the Patriots.
Oh, no. I mean, I think that there is, for a lot of people in the organization, for a lot of people that I've spoken to, there is a chance, but whether or not the Patriots want to deal with that media circus that he carries with him when he walks into the building. And it's way too much of a distraction. And I'll give you the perfect example, is that when Antonio Brown was on this team for the 11 days that he was earlier this season, you start bringing in all of the local news reporters to start pestering Bill Belichick with questions during a press conference. And there is nothing that makes Bill Belichick more infuriated when the local news people who don't belong here and don't cover the team start asking, in his eyes, inappropriate questions. But when you get down to the local news reporters asking 77-year-old offensive line coach Dante Scarnecchia how well Antonio Brown has been playing, or if he's going to play on a Sunday, and the dude just looks at him and says, "Bro, I coach the offensive line. Like, I don't know. I don't have the answer to that question." It becomes a distraction in the locker room. And talking to some of those players in the locker room earlier this year, everyone was sick of it. People were so sick of it. So, so will Antonio Brown make an impact for the Patriots on the field during a Sunday football game? Absolutely. But at what price?
They really don't like Antonio Brown up there, huh?
No.
What happened with Josh Gordon?
Josh Gordon, from what I've been told from a couple of people, was that a few weeks before Josh Gordon was released, he wasn't really answering text messages from his teammates or his coaches, and he was showing up to meetings very late, but people were trying to check in on him, and Josh Gordon was pretty checked out. And it made it seem as though I'm certain. I asked the question. I said, "Do you think that he was, using drugs, or was he drinking alcohol again?" And they said, "Certainly not, because that guy gets tested pretty much every day to make sure that he's clean."
So he was just emotionally checked out.
He emotionally checked out, and he just disappeared off the face of the earth for even the people that cared about him in the organization, which is disappointing. I mean, I think everyone here wishes him well, but we haven't heard his name since he left.
Let me throw a crazy idea out there.
Sure.
What about Des Bryant?
I asked that question the other day too. Is Des Bryant healthy enough to come back?
I mean, he says he's healthy. Like, he's putting out workout videos. That usually means he's healthy.
I am all in. Honestly, Joy, that's a very good
question. I'm sure I'm not
the
first person to have that idea, but he's out there.
Yeah, I asked the same question, and I agree with you. I think that would be the perfect add to this.
You're cool with Bill. Why don't you pass that along, and then make sure you give me credit for it.
I will.
You've been in the room. Bill Belichick's notorious for being a cranky, grumpy pants, but he likes you. So how awkward is it to and I've been in those situations before too, where everyone in the room feels uncomfortable, but the mean person likes you. It's wonderful. Just if you haven't had that experience, it is truly an incredible ego boost that I cannot describe for you, because everyone hates you, but there's nothing you can do about it. You're just that likable. What is it like though when you're in the room and Belichick just completely demolishes someone? Is everyone else kind of when your parents yell at is going nuts and you just kind of look at the ground, you're kind of embarrassed, but it's low key funny? Or is it just mortifying for everyone, and then the next person has to ask a question?
I think it's the first one that you tossed out there. I mean, depending on the person, if that reporter is well liked, which most likely the people that are asking the questions, the reporter is not well liked. It's literally like you sitting in the back of a room and watching, your second grade teacher chastise someone for passing notes in the room. Everyone's just kind of giggling and laughing. And I mean, listen, whether or not that's funny to you or not, I mean, it's uncomfortable. It's an uncomfortable situation, and and you're just happy that you're not the one being yelled at. But at the same time, I mean, Bill Belichick loves to play a chess game with his reporters, and you come in there prepared. And if you don't know specific X's and O's, and you don't really, it's like you stack your chips. You're sitting at a poker table, and you win a couple of chips. You win maybe $100 one day, and you come back to the casino and you bet 50, and then you're going to continue to stack those chips, and that's how you build a rapport with a head coach like Bill Belichick. And in those situations where he's mad, you just don't open your mouth unless you have a smart question. And those reporters that ask silly questions are going to get chewed out. And sometimes it's funny, and then sometimes you're like, geez, I'm so glad that wasn't me.
I mean, I can imagine it, because obviously we've all been in situations where like someone's getting yelled at and you're so glad it's not you. But like, this part of the reason why, I've been on plenty of uncomfortable interviews before, but when you're not a reporter, like, you have the ability to be like, all right, bro, calm the hell down. Like, I don't know who you're talking to or like what's happening here, but you can check them. But like, you can't check Bill. You can't be like, hey, Bill, who you talking to?
It's funny when some people just, who don't really know Bill, just try to run into the buzzsaw. Like, again, for like some of the local investigative reporters from the local news stations up here in Boston, when they ask questions, Byron Barnett, great reporter for a local NBC station up here. When Byron Barnett goes in there and he starts just running off a list of questions to Bill about, Antonio Brown and his alleged sexual assault and what his thoughts are. But actually, really the questions that you want to know.
Right.
It's like you're like a little kid in elementary school, and you just bury your head. You're like, oh, geez, this is not going to be good. But, it's just, if you come and you want to see the wrath of Bill Belichick, and you really want to test him on one of those testy days, bring your umbrella, because you're gonna get a whole host of rain, or in New England's case, maybe 10 inches of snow in your face.
It's really unbelievable. I can't even imagine it, but I think you gave a very good description of it, is running into a buzzsaw. Well, thanks so much for coming on with us, Courtney. Tell your fellow Bostonians that they have nothing to worry about. Although, I will say, I'm a big believer in the hocus pocus, and Nick Saban and Alabama, the Roll Tide, are not going to be in the college football playoffs this year, meaning they won't win a championship. And, when Nick Saban and Bill Belichick have the evil darkness bond, and, like, they have to win championships together, Nick Saban's not going to win one this year. So the juju is working strong against you. I suggest a lot of sage, maybe some crystals.
Listen, we don't have Hialeah and that Santeria easily available. So I think that right before the Super Bowl,
they sell sage at Whole Foods. Okay, you're good. I think you got like one Whole Foods in all of Boston, right?
There's actually one down the street, but listen, like I'm hearing that we shouldn't be buying Palo Santo anymore because they're just killing the trees. So
is it?
Keep the witchcraft to those who know how to do witchcraft.
Look, I'll send you a box of the good California stuff. Okay, well, I'll throw some sage in there, some essential oils, all right, a little incense. I'll do some research and pick the right stone, and you can gift it to Bill Belichick. I'm sure he's into that stuff.
It would be my pleasure.
I'll even throw a gift certificate to our favorite psychic out here. Listen, when you come to LA, you get into all kinds of this stuff. Like it's a whole thing, right? Like we were talking about this right before you left, right? When we were getting matcha. That you get,
yes.
You have. Everyone has their own psychic out here.
Yeah, the psychics have agents out in LA too, as well. So I'm gonna line up. I'm gonna line up all my California Ojai crystals up on my windowsill and just make sure that.
You do have the crystals. Yeah, just give those to Bill. It'll fix all of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna give those to Bill.
Who needs Des Bryant when you've got Courtney's crystals?
I actually like on that.
I just gave you a great business idea. There you go. It's Courtney's crystals.
Gisele Bündchen, I believe, has come out and said that she's given Tom Brady. Gisele Bündchen is very into crystals.
Right.
And there's been stories about it, and I'm very surprised that Tom has not taken up that opportunity for his wife to give him some good juju.
Oh, I'm sure he has. I'm sure Tom Brady has done all of that. I'm imagining Bill Belichick like saging his office. it's an amazing visual. Well, thanks, Courtney. Tell everyone to calm down. Appreciate you coming on. And you can catch Courtney on WEEI in Boston, and you can follow her on Twitter at Courtney Fallon _ and on Instagram Courtney _ Fallon. Thanks, babe. You're great.
Thanks both. Love you.
Love you too.